Today is going to be a little bit different. Today is Saturday, and it's super early in the morning. It's 2:30 in the morning. No, it's not that early, but it is early enough that the 5 kiddos, we're in the podcast studio in the home office, world class, and I'm here with my lovely bride, Melissa.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
That's right. You said enough now. Okay, back to you. We're so excited to have you here. Today is a special day. Melissa, do you want to just quickly share what today is?
Today is a very special day. It is our 17th wedding anniversary.
Wow, so exciting. There's a lot going on for us, as there is for you, I'm sure. And it was just an idea that we are celebrating 17 years of marriage. As I was super duper prepping for the forthcoming podcast, which is dropping in a few days, we're like, hey, why don't we share some lessons that we've learned? And the reason for that is because, and I can get a little jazzed up here, but it's just so important being on I don't want to give away what we're going to talk about, but it is so important that you do this, if you are married, that you do it with purpose, whether you're single, married, engaged, regardless of your position. Money is a tool, and it's done better when it's done with purpose. And the format we decided to do was, hey, how can we make this fun? And we decided to create a list, and we wanted to keep this bite-sized. We wanted to make sure that we respected your time, and we got ready because we got some celebrations today. But we made a list of 3 things that we thought were just pertinent to marriage and money, and we're just going to share those with you. We compared our lists, and there were lots of similarities, and we decided on the 3. Are they the top 3? Possibly, but it's more just about the 3 that we wanted to share with you. And we decided just to make this audio only because we still got the sleepies in our eyes and the bed head and all that good stuff. All right, so let's get started. Melissa, if you don't mind sharing the first money lesson marriage has taught us.
Yeah, so I would say the first lesson for us has been being on the same page and having communication with one another and having those meetings to discuss what our goals are, we want to see happen with our money and our family life. Really. That's
awesome. And I've said this before, don't want to come across as braggy, but I will say that it's one thing I'm proud of is that we have been married, as we mentioned, 17 years. And I say this again, just to be super clear, I say this not to brag, but I say this actually somewhat of the opposite. I say this because I don't think there are any, we all have advantages and strengths and that kind of stuff, but I think whatever results we've gotten, I think can be largely attached to this, and that is over 17 years, and there are 12 months in a year, so that means we have been married for 204 months.
Wow, that's impressive.
And there's one thing we've done every single month. We've not been perfect. Oftentimes, it's almost the next month if we're honest. But what is that?
For our meetings?
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing, is we've done the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just really helped us to stay on point with one another and what's happening in family life, but also our finances and how that's going to look for that month, what we want to be investing our money in, whether that's something we have to purchase for the home, whether that's how our investments are looking, how our savings are looking, and also just knowing what's going on in terms of our kids, what school's looking like, what their activities are looking like. And it's really just kept us unified in where we want to be and what we want to see happen that month.
Yeah, we talk about a few different areas that you mentioned, and we just kind of go through. It's not anything overly complex, but what's interesting is that lots of business owners will do meetings, and we meet and do our sales meetings, we do our EOS meetings, we do our scorecard meetings, and then at home it kind of sounds weird, like I shouldn't really have to do a meeting because everything should just kind of work out. Well, I don't see how it's different. If the business shouldn't just work out without meetings, then why should the home life? And I think it's something that is often missed. So communication for me comes down to the monthly and even the weekly. I know sometimes we are better than others, but we also talk about what we're doing that week, what's coming up, especially as life gets a little more full. But there's also the big picture that we're not going to get too heavy into because we want to move on. But if you wanted to say a little bit about the bigger picture, things like our vision or anything that comes to mind when it comes to the larger scale. I think I'll just share my 2 cents first. I think a lot of it comes down to this quote that says, you don't have what you want because you don't know what you want. I think I just made that up, but it's the idea that you have to know what you want first. A lot of people start doing stuff, and this is on a micro level where I got an email from awesome client that I really enjoy, but we haven't even established any targets, or solidified the goals. And he's messaging me about, hey, I'm doing this marketing play. How does that sound? And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love the action, and I think that's what it takes. But it's like we don't just start doing stuff. We want to start with, okay, where do we want to go? We're going, God willing, we're going to Arizona next year, and we know we're going there. So because we know we're going there, we know that we need to back out of it. We need to find out where we're staying. We need to figure out how to get there. And if we didn't know and we just started doing stuff, it wouldn't make any sense. But if you want to speak to the vision, some things we've done or anything that might be helpful for anyone listening.
Yeah, I think that's really good. It's like the mapping out of what we want to see happen, especially for the year as a whole. I feel like in the past I've kind of looked at maybe how a lot of people look at, like you were saying, their personal life, in the business. You made a great point that, people have meetings, maybe too many meetings in business, but they're constantly having meetings to map out and talk about what they want to see happen. And I've been guilty of that, just not wanting to focus in on the plan and the goals. And so the more we've done that, the more we've seen actually the things that we want to see happen. And so every January we sit down at the new year and we map out what we want to see happen for that entire year. Is it always perfect? No. This year has been a little chaotic with a new baby in tow and some great business changes, and a lot of traveling for you and all those great things. But I think if we didn't have that mapped out and at least an idea of on paper what we wanted to see happen, I think it would have been even more chaotic. And so I think it's been very important for our family to have a vision and an idea of where we want to see us moving forward in the year, but also in the next 3 to 5 years to come. And so that's also been a way to map out our vision, is to do, 3 to 5 years ahead. Where do we want to see our family at?
That's awesome. I'm getting kind of excited because in just a couple of months we'll be doing that again. And it's not just the one-time event. That is a thing, but it's also even now thinking about, we did some journaling recently together about some things that we wanted to see happen. We do it in prayer, and I just want to throw that in there. It's like, don't just do it once. Make it somewhat of a behavior in the way that you're operating and you're thinking ahead. So this way, I already have a bunch of ideas that I'm going to present to Melissa when we do our January meeting. So it's not just starting from scratch at that point. But if anyone is thinking that way, what are some super, I guess, tactical things? What's one or two specific things that we do during that meeting? Sometimes it's not just big thinking, although that's the main point, but sometimes we're actually getting stuff done. I don't know if you get my little hint there, but what are some one or two things that we actually do that maybe makes our life a little better?
Well, one thing that came to mind was actually setting dates for things. So, vacations, picking out a month that, would work for a trip, whether it's visiting family or it's just something that we want to experience. Also, just for example, a tangible thing, we said we want to get together once a month with our friends, our group of friends, and have a game night, because we did that over the holiday break and it was so much fun. So we said, why don't we all just do this once a month? And it's really worked very well. We pick the second Saturday of every month, and, sometimes we have to adjust it, but for the most part, I think we've hit it almost every single time. And so I think that's pretty cool with 4 different families with all our schedules, with all our kids. I mean, we have tons of kids together, and we've been able to do that. So I think that is a testament to the planning. And then again, just kind of talking about the dream of where we want to see ourselves by the end of the year. What kind of things do we want to see push forward? What kind of things do we want to hold back because maybe they're just not working as great? And so I would say, yeah, the putting the dates on the map or on the calendar, and talking about what's worked and what hasn't worked.
Oh, yeah, that's good. And two things I remember, and then we definitely have to move on, are just as far as getting it done. I remember one time, I think it was a couple of years ago, we wanted to do some kind of therapy. And we didn't even just talk about it. I literally booked, I think even booked 2 appointments with therapists just to kind of talk to them and find out if that was going to be a good fit. And then I remember last year, I just started booking stuff. We're like, okay, we're going to go in whatever month it was. I started making reservations and getting it locked in. Even, I know that's a financial thing, right? So that's a whole other thing of like how to be prepared financially for those things. But some of the time you don't even need a ton of money to do it. And I don't want to encourage you to overextend yourself, but I mean, you can book like Airbnbs and hotels. Lots of times you can do that without putting a ton of money down, but you can at least get it set up. Yeah, the more you can plan it, get it in the calendar, because kind of the obvious question, but what happens when you don't actually plan it? It never happens. Exactly. All right, cool. So that was going to be the biggest one for today, but we're going to just go through the other two, which is the power of
focus. Yeah, I think focus is really important. One thing that you've taught me really well is just setting goals. I never saw myself as a goal setter. I just, I'm kind of the free spirit type of person where, if I feel like doing something today, I'll do it. And I think there's balance there, right? I think I've taught you to have some balance in that area too. Not everything has to be hitting this insane target all the time, and you kind of have to learn that with kids. Yeah. However, I think it is important to have those things on your radar that you're writing down and maybe sharing with another person to get it done, to have integrity with yourself, but also with others. And I've been struggling a little bit with this in the last few months because of a new baby. It's hard to have those goals. But I think although sometimes I write down goals in my day-to-day and they don't always get done, I think it's still important. I think it's still good because they do eventually get done because I think I've written them down. And so for us to have focus kind of goes in line with the first one, just writing down what we want to see happen, especially those financial goals. Yeah. What do we want to see for our kids' college funds? What do we want to see for our retirement? Before we know it, it's going to be here. Yeah. And we got to stop pretending like things aren't going to be here because life goes really fast. I mean, it's 17 years. Even my dad remarked the other day how crazy it is that we've been married for 17 years. Yeah. They probably still see us as these young kids.
21-year-old kids.
Yeah, our daughter would say we're old before she knows it. She's going to be old.
Yeah, that reminds me of two things. Real quick, one is there's a both of these are from well-known books. One of them is from a classic book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. Definitely want to pick that one up if you haven't read it, or maybe even read it again. But there's a part in the book, and I'm probably going to do it a little bit of a disservice, but basically he's like looking at an older guy. That's been a little while for me since I read it. But he's essentially says to that you're totally foolish if you look at an older person and you just think it's like an isolated thing. Like it's so interesting. Like I'm 45, right? I look at a 60-year-old and I say, "Oh, that person's 60." Like to think that I won't be 60 is
it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, thinking ahead, the kids are going to get married one day, God willing, and all that stuff. So that's awesome. And then the other one is a quote that says, "Chase 2 rabbits, catch none." And I think that's such a big issue. And we all know that in the fitness world, people are constantly doing different workouts, different diet plans. They're not sticking with anything long enough to see results. At the end of the day, it's not sexy. It's just staying on the one thing. It took us 5 years to pay off our what we call non-mortgage debt or our high interest debt, mostly high interest debt. 5 years. That was a long time. Most of the time, it does not take that long to hit a goal, but we had to really not get distracted. I saw, these 2 advertisements I got. One is about a loan for a car. The other is about cash in some of my Stripe credit and get a $30,000 loan, like all this stuff. And this is the stuff that distracts people and gets them off focus, and it gets very difficult to come back. Yeah.
I'll just add to that really quick. I mean, we live in a culture of non-focus.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do we get on our phone and just scroll? Like, that's how the makeup is. That's how the algorithms are. That's how all that stuff is set up. So having focus in this day and age is extremely difficult, but it is so valuable and important.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to move on to the last one, and we're going to end with something a little special. The last one is, Melissa,
being grateful and having fun. It's really an important lost art, I think.
Yeah. Money is meant to be enjoyed, right?
Yeah, money is meant to be enjoyed, but to also start from a place of gratitude. I think a lot of the blessings that we've received, we wouldn't have appreciated as much had we not been grateful from the start or learned to be grateful through the start. I think we have been very blessed in a lot of ways, even through the struggles, and I think that's really important, but also to find ways to have fun, to celebrate the big wins, the small wins even, and find ways to get creative in your financial situation, whether you have a lot in terms of finances or a little. So I think that's been something that we've done fairly well.
Kind of a weird story to share at this point, but I was talking to a guy the other day, and he had just gone through some pretty serious prostate cancer. He had all these procedures, and he was sharing it with me, and I was like, man, that does not sound fun. He's like, yeah, it was absolutely horrendous. It was really, really difficult. He said, I got really effed up during that period, and he was telling me that he lost his ability to urinate, and it sounds weird if that's never been an issue, but he's like, I went decades and decades with being able to use the bathroom, and like I never once thought about it, right? And it's like, I know it's a weird example, but he said, when I lost my ability and how to relearn how to do that, he said, I realized I should have been grateful, because there's nothing that should guarantee that something like that can happen, right? And there's a million things like that, right? Like, we all know that, like, most of us can see and hear and use our limbs. I mean, all these things. I was talking to another girl yesterday that I'm excited about. Maybe I'll get her on the podcast, but she went through also something very similar with cancer, and she got paralyzed thankfully it went away, but she said, I will never take for granted being able to walk again. Wow. Yeah. So just a reminder for us all, we all can get entitled, especially in this culture. Things are not going your way, and you think they should, and you have all these assumptions and expectations. Staying grateful, having fun, and remembering that money is a tool and nothing more. I've definitely learned that it's important not to just focus on the goal, but realizing what it is and what it does. And I've gotten way better with that, I think, as we've moved further along. Great. Well, Melissa, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I'm super excited to celebrate. We're doing a whole bunch of things to celebrate. We won't bore anyone listening with that. But I'm really grateful for you. And we just thought it would be kind of cutesy here to share just one thing we're grateful for the other person. You want to go first, or you want me to?
I can go first. I have one. Okay. I am really grateful for your work ethic and how hard you work for our family. And don't cry. I think it's a really important thing for men to be hard workers, and you definitely exude that. And so I am very grateful for your work ethic.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm glad we're not on video here. But what I'm grateful for is, I might date myself here a little bit. There was a famous show that my parents would watch, and I would watch it with them, and it was called The Honeymooners. So if anybody remembers The Honeymooners, Ralph Cramden was the bus driver, and he always had these crazy ideas, and they never worked. Hopefully I'm not as bad as Ralph Cramden, but his wife, she always stood by him. They always made up at the end. They did this awesome kiss scene after he totally screwed everything up. But my point And the reason I share that is because I'm grateful that you have believed in me, you have encouraged me, you have prayed for me, you have really just stood by me through all the ups and downs. I am grateful for what we've built together and excited for what's ahead. Well, I hope that wasn't too sappy for you, and I really appreciate you sharing some time with us on this special day of our 17th wedding anniversary. I also would welcome your feedback. If you don't like it, I would love to know that. And if you do like it, or what you liked, or any other thoughts you have, would love for you to share that. I know you hear that and you're like, yeah, he's just saying that because it's like the thing to say. But no, I actually really mean it. I want to make sure we're delivering value. There are some things I know can be improved, and yeah, those things are on the radar. But yeah, feedback is a gift, and would appreciate that. And yeah, wishing you many blessings, and thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, you're listening to the Your Fitness Money Coach podcast.